Right then, Frank, good to see you again. How you doing?
I'm all right, young man. Yourself?
Very, very, very good, and excited to be back for another night of excellent boxing. And this one is one of those ones that's been really well received. People really want to see this fight. Have you had that impression so far?
Yeah, I mean, everybody I talk to, everyone's got a different opinion. It's like a pick 'em fight, and I'm glad we won the purse bids for it, for our man. At least he's on one of our shows, but I think it's going to be something a little bit special. I mean, they've got a lot of history between them, and I didn't realise at the time I'd won the purse bid. It went back to some of the sparring and after sparring recreation between the two of them. But this time round, they can sort it out in the ring, but they're both up for it, very much up for it, and I think we can get something a little bit special.
We've seen Denzel in 3 fights behind closed doors so far in this kind of busy but also very strange period of boxing. Do you think this is the perfect time for him to have a big match like this, a big fight like this, when he's, to be fair, like in tune?
Absolutely. You know, it's been a terrible time for everybody with this lockdown, but some people have benefited from it, and he's benefited from it. He's had the fights, and he's looked better in each fight that he's had. So let's hope that continues from our perspective. He's, you know, because he's in our camp. But you know, he's really seems to have found himself, and looking. And I know he's not looking beyond this fight, but he's always talking about better things, and he wants, you know, he wants to crack at the European, wants to fight for the world title. So he can't afford to slip up on this one, and I'm sure Felix Cash feels the same way.
Felix Cash is no mean feat either. He's, I know at the moment he's the bookmaker's favourite. Very impressive in his last outing, but also, as was Denzel. But what have you seen of Cash that's impressed you?
I think he does everything very well, but I also think that Denzel does. I mean, he has the better amateur pedigree, Cash, but you know, I think we've seen a few upsets over the last few weeks or the last few months with fighters who've not even fought as amateurs, beaten, you know, well schooled and highly decorated amateurs. So I don't know. I think, look, the best man's going to win on the night, and it is a pick 'em fight. But I do fancy Denzel's determination and the fact that he's you know, he's a man who really wants to get somewhere fast, and he's done it the hard way. He's had no favours done for him. I mean, when I think about how he wound up getting a spot on a TV show, and that was after doing 10 rounds of sparring, and then, you know, unbeknown to me, I knew he'd been in the gym, and then on the same night going out and having an 8-round fight. That tells you what he's all about.
And what a way to learn in those last 2 fights against Mark Heffron. A huge learning experience, and 2 tough fights, and the second one he came through with flying colours.
He certainly did, and he looked a different fighter in the second fight before Mark sustained that horrible eye injury. If he can be able to do it, now's the time, and that's it. And we've all got faith in him.
A few other highlights on the card, of course, we're seeing David Adeleye again, who's proven to be enormously entertaining, hugely charismatic, and also delivers in the ring. You looking forward to seeing him out there again?
I am. He's being stepped up against a very experienced guy this time. I think the fella's had about well over 30 fights. So he's him with an experienced guy, and it'd be interesting to see how he copes and deals with it. But I am, again, looking forward to him back in the ring. He's a young man who's in a hurry. He's calling out everybody you can think of. Probably because he's been getting some really excellent world-class sparring, you know, working with Tyson. He's also been with Usyk-Joyce, and I think he was sparring with Chisora, I'm told, recently. So he's a very competitive youngster, and what I've noticed about him, he's filled out quite a bit in the last few months. He's put on nearly a stone in weight, and it's solid. So let's hope that gives him more power. And as I say, you know, he's in with a very experienced opponent, and let's see how he deals with it.
Someone like him who just calls everyone out at every possible opportunity. He spent the entire last fight night looking for Nathan Gorman, didn't he? Is that a promoter's dream, or is it an absolute nightmare?
Look, I love the fact that fighters who, you know, challenge other fighters and have the self-belief to do it. And I'm sure if I said to him, right, you're fighting Nathan Gorman tomorrow, he would go with it. But it's too soon. It's too soon for him to be fighting Nathan Gorman. You know, Nathan Gorman actually has been looking quite good since he's come back. He's only lost 1 fight, and he's just got too much experience for him. And it's not a fight that I think Nathan would think what's in it for him anyway at this moment in time. You know, he's looking to fight for title. but maybe that, maybe next year, early next year, maybe that's a big fight we can make.
Callum Johnson making his Queensberry debut as well tomorrow night, Saturday night. We've obviously got a few light heavyweights, British light heavyweights in the roster now. Lyndon Arthur, obviously that hugely impressive performance. I think he's actually going to be there on Saturday night. Anthony Yard, who had to pull out with, I think was it a tooth-related injury, surgery?
He had an abscess and a tooth taken out on Monday, so obviously. But we're getting better again. He'll be out in a couple of weeks' time. But
pretty fun for you to have those three all under the same banner.
Yeah, I'm really pleased. I mean, they're three quality light heavyweights, and the plan was Anthony was going to fight on Saturday. Lyndon was going to fight. He had a hand injury. He was going to have a fight in a couple of weeks, or sort of think early June, and then the two of them are going to get it on in the rematch. So that's the plan. That's what will happen. Callum makes his debut with us on Saturday. He's in with a decent opponent. He's got a good record. So if he comes through that, we'll be moving him. But one thing's for sure: if Anthony Yard and Lyndon can get these 2 wins under the belt, we're going to see a great return match with them. And who knows? Maybe they'll wind up fighting Callum. Good fights for the fans.
And keeping it in the light heavyweight division, I'm sure you're up at 5 a.m. this weekend watching the Jake Paul fight. Tommy Fury. I know a few stages further back in his career than the other light heavyweights, but he's already making some noise for himself. He's obviously got that enormous following, and now he's calling out YouTubers. I mean, Frank, I know people have their opinions about these, but you must be seeing the numbers there.
Look, it would be a huge fight. There's no doubt about it, because as you quite rightly say, they've both got massive social media followings. Tommy's done excellent since he's turned pro. He's still a novice. Having said that, I'd make that fight in a heartbeat. They haven't got to go far to make that fight happen. All they need to do is just pick up the phone, or even come round my office. I'll leave the door unlocked. They can come in, and we'll work out the terms their end. So, great fight. I'm talking about Tommy. Now, for Tommy, I think it's a great fight, and for the people who buy into this, it'd be a great fight.
I know you're a massive YouTuber fan, aren't you, Frank?
I don't stop, mate. I don't stop.
Let's throw forward to next week. Sonny Edwards, another man who's brilliant at making noise about himself.
Before we talk about Sonny, I'm interested on Saturday in seeing Ryan Garner. Now I spoke with him last week, and he was, and obviously we all had huge expectations of what he could do in professional boxing, and he's got an undefeated record, and he had a couple of times he came in overweight, and I think that's because he wasn't preparing correctly. But he's been talking to me. He's got a girlfriend. He's settled down. He said he's got a flat, and he's going to show the world what he's got. So I hope that's going to be the case, because he is and was one of the most talented fighters to turn pro in a long time. So I hope it's not wasted talent, and hopefully, he is serious about this now. He has got the dedication to go with the talent, and I think he could march on. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him on Saturday too.
Yeah, agreed. I was going to talk before about Sonny Edwards. He's fighting next Friday. World title fight for him. He's been talking about this for so long. He's very vocal. He always puts himself in that picture. Again, I mentioned about David Allais being, is he a dream or a nightmare? What about Sonny Edwards? Always calling you up, isn't he?
He is, but look, he's a bit of a student of boxing. I thought he'd done well, by the way, when he did the inter-round stuff, commentary stuff. I think he was excellent. He's got a tough fight. He's fighting the best out there in that division. The guy has a win over Tetty, and we all know Tetty from coming over here and the job he done on Paul Butler. It's a tough job, but you know what? He's got the skills to do it, Sonny. Sonny does have the skills to beat this fella, and the brain power. And if he can, his head will be right. If he gets the bit between his teeth in this fight, he can win it. It's not easy. It's not going to be an easy job, but he definitely has the ability to do it, and I hope he does, because it'd be great for him, great for BT's boxing us, and more importantly, great for him.
I want to move on to the heavyweights now. We had the fight with Daniel Dubois and Bogdan Dinu announced recently. Good to hear that Daniel's fit and ready to go again. And how quickly do you think he's going to be back on his path of destruction that he was on before?
Well, he'll fight probably, it looks like it'll be sometime. It was looking for the last week of May, first week of June. It'll be on one of those dates. And he's in there with a guy who's the interim WBA champion. So he's stepping up to the plate. Looking back from the fight he had with Joe-Joyce and the terrible injury that he sustained, a lot of people had their views about that. Conflicting views. Some people thought that he didn't have the heart. Other people thought he did the right thing. He's got a massive pressure on him now. When he comes back, people are going to be looking at him even more so than he was as an undefeated fighter after how that fight ended. So massive pressure, but you've got to take your hat off to him because it's a fight he called for, he wanted, and if he comes through it, he becomes the mandatory for the WBA heavyweight title. So that is, everything's at stake for him. Everything's at stake. So it's not like he stepped backwards, he's moving forwards, and obviously he's got to put the performance in and deliver. So there's a lot of pressure on him for this fight.
And keeping it with the heavyweights, you mentioned there Joe-Joyce. The Joe-Joyce Usyk fight, I know a lot of it depends on what happens with the Fury-AJ negotiations. Where is everything that's at? Because it's two fights everybody wants to see. Obviously one gets all the press, but one is the one that boxing fans are desperate for, that Joyce-Usyk fight.
We got him in the position, we lobbied the WBO to get him into the position, and WBO put out their called for the fight to be made between Usyk and Joe for the interim title. But everything's at an impasse now because what was being said is that they'll give a period of time to allow for Tyson and AJ fight to take place. If it doesn't, then they're going to tell AJ that he's going to make his defence against his mandatory as Usyk. So Usyk doesn't want to be getting involved in an interim, he just wants to go straight for the title. So we're a little bit of an impasse until we get this situation resolved between this fight between Tyson and AJ. We are where we are. So I think that's going to come to a head fairly soon now. We've not had an offer which we feel was suitable. And we're awaiting an amended offer, and once we get that, then all the interested parties can consider it. And we've all got a will to make this fight happen. It's a no-brainer for us to get it on, but it's when it goes on, where it goes on, and a couple of other issues that need to be resolved. And until we get, as I say, till we get the at least a deal memo, binding memo, we are where we are. So unfortunately, Joe's suffering. I want to get Joe out. I mean, he had a good win. I'd like him to have fought. On Saturday, we'd like to have him out by now. But he will be out sometime, no doubt about it, in June. Whatever happens, if it's Usyk or not, it'll be out.
Yeah. Tyson must be relatively confident. I mean, he's flown himself out to Vegas. He's in camp with Sugar Hill. He must be relatively confident that something is going to come through. How confident are you? Because I know it's been up and down, peaks and troughs, as it has been for years now, but it does seem like this is crunch time.
Well, it's been crunch time for a while, and all I keep hearing is the fight's on and it's done, and I'm going to make an announcement next week, and not me, people saying they're going to make an announcement, and I keep saying until I see a deal, there's nothing to talk about, and there isn't. So I'm categorically told that we're supposed to be getting something that everybody will on the terms and conditions that everybody will be satisfied with. So as soon as we get it, if that's the case, it'll be signed at our end and we're all ready to go.